In today's podcast, I'm going to teach you all about self-respect and specifically how to earn self-respect in your life. And this wraps up our 4-part series on self-formation, where we covered self-control, which really starts the journey, self-discipline, which builds the path, self-belief, which powers your momentum, and now finally, self-respect, which is the foundation that you live on. So listen in, learn how to gain the ultimate level of self-respect in your life and consistently maintain integrity day to day. So listen in to learn how to level up your inner respect and maintain integrity with your core values every single day.
The greatest things in life all start with a challenge.
You must accept that everything is hard before it gets easy.
Everything you want in life begins with a hard path.
Welcome to the Choose Hard podcast. I'm your host, Cody McBroom. I am a father, husband, entrepreneur, coach, and a man on a mission to help individuals live their best life possible. Step 1 in living your best life possible is choosing hard every single day. And that's what this podcast is here to help you do. So let's build your body and develop your mind. Today, we are going to be diving in to self-respect. This is actually probably, I feel like I need to stop saying this is my favorite topic to talk about, but it really, like, the self-formation process in general is, and this is part 4. So if you haven't listened to the first 3 parts of this series, make sure that you go into Spotify, Apple, wherever else you listen to it. If you listen to there's so many podcast platforms. We're on Amazon. We're on ones I've never even heard of. I think there's one called like Jukebox, iHeartRadio. I've heard of that. We're on there. So we're on everything. Wherever you're listening, go back to the podcast library in like the feed of my podcast and go save those episodes. They're going to be the previous 3 solo episodes where you don't see another person's name that I'm interviewing, although we've had some amazing guests on lately. But go back and save those because you're going to want to listen to them. Now, it's not a big deal that you didn't listen to those first because this episode is this one might actually convince you to go listen to those even more so because you'll see how self-respect is just something that you earn and gain as you live out those other aspects of the self-formation process. So we have self-control, which I believe really starts the journey. That's where you're really taking a lot of actions. That's part 1. Then we have self-discipline, which kind of really lays down the bricks and builds the path ahead of you. It replaces motivation and helps you build the pathway that you will be following. Then we have self-belief, which is accumulated as you go through actions in achieving results and doing the work that requires self-control and self-discipline. And this is what really builds your momentum because the more belief you have, the more momentum you have to continue taking action. And then we land on this last phase, which is part 4, and this is self-respect. And this is the foundation you live on because once you earn self-respect, which is ultimately the inner respect you have for yourself, right? You're going to be so much more aligned with who you believe you could be, who you know your greatest potential to be, and what your core values are on the deepest level possible. This is truly living a purpose-driven and core value-based life. When you have self-respect, you do that. You maintain integrity on a daily basis with who you say you are and the best version you know you can be because your best version and the person you tell others you are has a set of core values and principles, and you're going to follow and abide by those values and principles that you set for yourself on a daily basis, even when nobody's watching, if you have a high level of self-respect. This is where self-respect trumps body positivity so much. Body positivity really got conflated and inflated to a negative place because people started letting themselves fall apart and be unhealthy, saying that they're being positive and loving to themselves. And that's just not true. If you have a high level of self-respect, you love yourself enough to do the hard things. Body positivity gives you an out. It gives you an excuse and it gives you a reason to just not try harder. But the reality is if you love yourself and you truly have self-respect, then you know you deserve better. You know that you should invest in your body. You know that you should invest in your mind. You know that you should be working hard to create the best body, mind, and life possible. And a high level of self-respect allows you to habitually not even have to try, but maintain integrity with the version of you that does that, right? And so we're going to dive deep into this because this is such a powerful thing. This is what anchors you day after day after day to get through the challenges and do the work you need to do because you respect yourself enough to put in the effort, to try harder, to fully commit, to be consistent, to adhere to the plan, and to achieve more because you know you deserve it. This is like, I had to bring the body positivity thing up because I think so many people misunderstand what being positive to your body and yourself really is. I don't even want, like, we shouldn't be talking about body positivity. We should be calling it and talking about solely self-respect. And that is earned, which we're going to get into. So I'm going to break this podcast up into sections, just like I've done the other ones. And if you listen to the other ones, you know that I kind of had a few different parts of the podcast where I go through and I give an intro, which I just did. Then we are going to kind of cover why the thing is so important. So in this case, self-respect. Why is this such a valuable key? Then we're going to talk about science, and we're going to show a few studies that actually determine and really create facts. And the reason I do this every time is because I want you to have a fact that you can lean on instead of your feelings, because our feelings will try to pull us away from the facts because we get in our feelings. But the reality is that feelings are fleeting. Facts are facts. You can see those and it can allow you to tap into your logical brain a little bit easier. And that's where a lot of us fail. A lot of us fail by leaning too far into the emotional side. We lean into our emotional thoughts and feelings. And what happens there is we get sidetracked, distracted, pulled away from the facts that are on the path that lead us to the result we're after. Okay, so I want to break down some of the science on all these because it's really important. This one has a little bit less deep dive science because self-respect is something you earn after doing the other ones. The other ones have a lot of science in them. And if you listen to those episodes, you heard it. If you didn't, go listen to those. Now, then we'll kind of go into, in this one, we're going to talk about the comparison. I want to really paint the picture and compare self-respect to the respect of others, the respect you have for others and the respect others have for you, and where this is different and where it's the same. Then we're going to get into some practical strategies and just how you can actually put things into play that will help you develop this, because that's really important, and we'll wrap it up from there. So we're going to go through each section of this podcast in that order so that we can really understand. Now, the first section, as I said, is talking about why this is so important. So why is self-respect so important and what I would call the pinnacle of personal growth? I think it is the pinnacle because it is what is at the top. And when we show clients and people coming into our community and our tribe and our culture, and like we're talking as a group in the portal and everything for our tailored coaching community, we talk about self-formation all the time, and we show this graphic, of it's a pathway, and there's like flags, like milestones, and then a finish line at the end. And it goes through this pathway of self-control, self-discipline, self-belief, and then self-respect. Self-respect is the pinnacle. It's the final destination that you land on because it's what keeps you going. It's what you've earned at the end of it. And that's the first point I want to make with why this is so important and why I love it so much. And it really resonates with us at Tailored Coaching. It resonates with the choose hard culture, the choose hard mentality. And that's that it's earned. It's not given. Self-control, self-discipline, and even self-belief are tools that you can build, especially self-control and self-discipline. Self-control is an action you take, and it's difficult to do. And you got to choose hard in those moments to really take control and have self-control. But that self-control builds discipline, and discipline is a continual skill that you refine by doing the hard work when you don't feel like it. But it's a skill that becomes a trait, in my opinion, a characteristic. You possess a lot of self-discipline after taking actions that require self-discipline, especially when you don't have much. And then these create self-belief. And there's also practices you can use to develop self-belief, self-efficacy, self-confidence. But those are kind of built. Self-respect, you can't just build it. You have to go through this process. It's not something that you just go, oh, I'm going to give you some strategies at the end of this that'll help you build it. But really, they are strategies that lean on those other key pillars of the self-formation process so that you accumulate self-respect, because self-respect is earned. It's not given. It's the experience you have when you consistently live in alignment with not only your core values, but those tools. When you consistently show self-control, when you consistently have discipline, when you consistently build self-belief, you will have more self-respect. It increases your self-worth, right? And this is so important in life for so many people. So number one, it's important to discuss this and to think about it, because it's earned. It's not given. And in today's culture, I mean, I'll just say it. In today's world, today's culture, people want handouts constantly. People want things to be given to them. They don't want to work for it. They want the fast path. They want the easy track. They want the hacks. And it's really unfortunate because growth happens in the mud. Growth happens in the thick of it, right? When you're digging the hole, that's when you get deep, and that's when you develop the traits, the skills, the lessons, the insights. So I feel bad for people who fail to understand this, or who don't listen to podcasts like this. And this is why I encourage people, like if you're listening to this, you're obviously not one of those people because you're seeking growth. Share this podcast with a friend. Share other podcasts you listen to that aren't even mine with a friend. Like, you should be posting this stuff on your story, because the only way for our culture and our society to become more understanding of where growth happens and more understanding of what hard work does for us is to see these kind of messages spread constantly. That's why I have these hats. This Choose Hard hat I'm wearing, which is all blacked out, and this will be dropping soon. They're like in the factory right now, and I'm excited about them. I got another one coming too that's going to be really sweet. I'm not gonna announce what it is yet, but I got a really cool shirt already pressed, printed, screen printed, ready to go. I'm waiting for these hats that kind of match it, and I'm going to launch those. And the whole idea behind the hats and the shirts and stuff is not for me to make profits, because I barely do at all. It's just enough to like keep buying more, because that's not my thing. My thing is to spread a message of hard work. Choose hard means do the hard thing each day so that you become a better human being. And you have to spread that message. That's why I'm wearing this. That's why it's on my truck sticker. Like, that's why I want people to really indoctrinate this message. So please, please, please spread this, because these things are earned. They're not given. Number 2 reason why this is is so important. The ultimate confidence booster is self-respect. It's the calm certainty that you act with integrity, you live by your values, and you can trust that your own character is going to do the right thing even when no one's watching. Somebody who has a lot of self-respect acts in alignment with the best version of themselves. They act in alignment with what is right as a human. They do the right thing. They work hard. They put in the effort, and they do it all when nobody's watching, because it doesn't matter if somebody else gives you credit anymore. Like, at the end of the day, the way I look at it is God's watching and I'm watching. And if these two guys are watching, God and myself, then that's enough for me to push it. That's enough for me to put in the effort. That's enough for me to give my all. And that's enough for me to do the right thing. I don't need a trophy. I don't need a pat on the butt. I don't need anybody to even see it and acknowledge it. Now, don't get me wrong. In the last podcast, we talked about self-belief and how acknowledgement and recognition from others externally, not just yourself, does boost confidence. There's research to support it. So don't get me wrong. If somebody sees it, I love it. I'm happy. But I'll tell you what feels even better than doing something in front of somebody. 1, because you know it's the right thing, but 2, maybe also because you know people are watching. So if you in your head, and we've all done this, go, oh shit, I got to do this. So-and-so's watching, so-and-so's around, there's people around. That shouldn't be the only reason you do something. If you do something just because you know it's the right thing versus you do something because you want to do the right thing in front of people because they're going to see it, start putting this into practice outside of those situations. Because what feels better than anything is when you do the right thing because you know it's the right thing, and then later on you find out somebody was watching. Like, that feels good. And talk about external feedback giving you self-belief and self-confidence and self-worth and value, self-respect. That's the best. That is the ultimate form of a compliment that will lead to more self-respect. Because it means so much more, it holds so much more weight and so much more value, knowing that the compliment is coming from a place of, damn, you didn't know I was watching, but I saw what you did. Huge. Ultimate confidence booster. The third and last thing before we get into the science is going to be that it's an anchor. This is the resilience anchor. Self-respect creates emotional stability and reduces the need for external validation, like I was just talking about, helping you maintain progress even during setbacks. So what is going to allow you to eat healthy when nobody around you is supporting you eating healthy, or there is nobody around you and you're emotional and you have cravings and you want to cave and eat something and you're stressed out? What is going to help you when you need to wake up and work out because you've skipped a few workouts? What's going to help you when you have to work overtime and you're in the office, but nobody's there? Right? There's plenty of forms of accountability that are going to help you with this, but the one that's going to help you the most, and it's going to anchor you to your goals and anchor you to your values and hard work in general, is going to be self-respect. Yes, you need discipline to wake up and go get the workout on. Yes, you need discipline to choose, and self-control to choose the good thing over the bad thing to eat when nobody's around watching and you have cravings, all that stuff. But self-respect is the reason you act on self-control and self-discipline. Because when I have the option of junk food and healthy food, and I know what my goals are, and nobody's around, nobody's going to know, the only reason I choose the healthy thing is because I've developed a sense of self-respect that knows I deserve better. And so I'm going to act in alignment with what gets me the better result. Plain and simple. So it's an anchor that's going to anchor you back and down. Now, the second part of this, actually, before I get into the science, is going to be, really looking at the comparison between self-respect and respect for others. And I wanted to add this section in because I think it's important for us to understand that it is different, but it is very, very similar, because the easiest way for individuals to learn something new, develop a new skill or trait, or create a sense of belief and confidence that they can do something is going to be to understand where this skill, this trait, this requirement, the effort that they have to put in, that they're nervous about or that they're inexperienced with, it's to understand what that is parallel to. When I can connect the dots between other areas of your life that you've had discipline and self-control to the new goal that you've set and how you're going to need self-control and discipline in there, and you feel like you can't do it because you've never expressed self-control and discipline in this area, so you don't have self-belief in this area, I'm going to show you how to translate this self-belief from the self-control and discipline you've shown in this other area of life and translate that over to this new area so you can accomplish your goal. And there's a specific way to do it that I touched on in the Self-Belief podcast. And so I wanted to paint another parallel picture with this so you can understand how to earn your self-respect based on how others earn your self-respect. I think not enough people really connect these dots and understand that I could probably increase my own self-worth and own self-love and own self-appreciation and value if I thought deeper about what makes me love, increase worth, see value, and appreciate others more. A really funny way to look at this that is so unbelievably true is how we criticize ourselves and show ourselves no grace. We criticize ourselves for our lack of blank. I mean, anything. We criticize our body image. We criticize our work ethic. We criticize our skills. We're our own worst critic. We're our own worst enemy in so many ways. We pick ourselves apart in so many categories of life: parenting, work, physical fitness, physical health, body fat. Then we talk to somebody else who is talking negative to themselves out loud, and we say they're crazy. And we're like, dude, you're putting in such a strong effort in the gym. I see you. Dude, you eat healthy all the time. You're fine. One screw up is not a big deal. Oh my gosh, don't even talk about how you look that way. You look great. What are you talking about? And we mean it. We've all seen this. Why don't we do that for ourselves? It's actually insane. Well, one of the only ways to really do this with ourselves is to go through step 1, 2, and 3 of the self-formation process, because that's what allows you to earn a higher level of self-love, worth, appreciation, grace even, and of course, respect, which kind of encapsulates all those. But if we understand what social respect is given from us, we will see that it's not the fact that so-and-so has a six-pack that we respect them. It's that they wake up, they grind in the gym, they get it done, they choose healthy foods, they're doing the hard work, and they're committed to it. That's why we respect them. Okay, so while we're doing all of those things, yet we just don't have the shredded six-pack we want, why are we not respecting ourselves? We respect other people for the hard work they put in, regardless of the result they achieve. Yet we get a result and we put in the work and we criticize our result and say it's not good enough and show ourselves no self-respect. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. I've done this too. And when I stopped doing it was exactly when I developed a greater sense of self-respect. And I started treating myself better because I knew what I deserved and I knew what my core values were. And I identified what I respect in others. And when I did that, I realized I don't respect others for how they look or how lean they are, or how much muscle they have. I respect others for their core values, how they treat people, and the work ethic they have. So as long as I have strong core values that I'm aligned with, I have a high work ethic and I get shit done and I treat others really well and I'm trying to give and serve others, I'm going to have an insane amount of self-respect. I'm going to always be able to lean back on those things and go, did I put in my full effort? Did I treat people well? And what I did today, is it aligned with my personal core values? Yes, yes, yes. Okay. I don't care what the result is. I mean, I want a great result. Don't get me wrong. I'm here to win, but I'm going to respect myself still. Right. So 3 quick bullet points on this, really understanding based on what I kind of just described there, which hopefully already painted the picture, but it's parallel to social respect is the big key to what I was just saying. So just like others earn your respect through integrity, reliability, authenticity, hard work, treating others well, you gain self-respect by treating yourself with dignity and with honor and with alignment to those things. So if you act in accordance of those things and remove the result from the pedestal, you earn self-respect. Number 2, internal moral compass. When your internal dialogue and actions sync up with your core values and you're very aligned with it, you generate a deep sense of self-worth and self-respect. And this is what we see in others that creates respect. Like I say this often to clients and people in our community when we're talking about this. Step back and take a couple notes and think, write down 5 names of somebody you've always respected in your life and then why. It's never going to be because of how much money they make, the results they have. Even if it's somebody who lost a ton of weight, it's not like, wow, they lost 70 pounds. That 70 pounds is why I respect them. No, it's like, damn, they lost 70 pounds. I know what that took. Damn, they really, really worked hard to get that weight loss done. They set their mind to something, they accomplished it. I respect those things, right? And it becomes your internal moral compass. And then the last one is clear boundaries. I think this is really important that not a lot of people talk about, but individuals with high respect confidently say no to whatever comes in their life that doesn't align with their core values. And they say yes to things that elevate them as a person. And they're mirroring how we respect others who respect themselves. Think about it like this. If somebody is putting their family first and saying no to things that does not put their family first, we don't hate them. In fact, we want to be more like them. We respect them. Yet we're afraid to set boundaries because we don't want to hurt people's feelings. I'm sorry, but go back to the beginning. Screw your feelings. This is about the facts. And the facts are, I care about my family most. And my integrity that keeps me aligned with my values as a man says, put family first. And so I respect anybody who does that too. So you have to set clear boundaries and you have to hold those boundaries as a person. The more you hold boundaries in your life, the more respect you will have for yourself. When you cave on those boundaries, you will feel walked on and you will have less self-respect. Because if you walk all over somebody and somebody just lets you do whatever, lets you say whatever, lets you dictate everything, doesn't ever give their opinion, doesn't voice any concerns, just follows along like a sheep, you don't respect them. You have zero respect for that person. So why on earth would we respect ourselves if we're setting boundaries and letting people just erase the boundaries and walk all over us? It makes no sense. We wouldn't. And hopefully this really just paints it in your mind so that you can start to understand this is how you create more self-respect. And again, self-respect is self-worth. Okay, now we're going to get into the research studies, which are pretty cool, but also, again, I think a little bit less in depth than the previous episodes in this series, just because most of self-respect is it's a way of living. It's your integrity and your alignment to your core values. And I think that if you don't have core values, you're going to struggle to have self-respect. If you don't set boundaries in your life to stay aligned with those, you're going to have less self-respect. And ultimately, if you don't go through step 1, 2, and 3, self-control, discipline, and belief, I think it's going to be hard to develop. I think it's a process. So this is again, my goal with this podcast is to paint a picture of what your life could be and what the mental dialogue you have in your head would be like if you had a high level of self-respect, so that you get more convinced and really just passionate and eager to go through phase 1 through 3, step 1 through 3. So research. So study 1 is it's called Moral Behaviors Boost Self-Esteem via Self-Respect. So their goal with this study was to determine how moral conduct contributes uniquely to self-respect, independent of performance-based esteem. And so the method was that they took participants and assessed their moral integrity, self-reported self-respect, and self-esteem across multiple studies. The results were that moral behavior significantly increased self-respect, which then improved overall self-esteem more so than competence or social approval. So it didn't matter if we, again, this is the reason I want to do this, is because their conclusion was that living in alignment with your values is a major driver of self-respect, which supports long-lasting self-esteem and well-being. But if you look at the results, yes, moral behavior, it means acting morally with your code of ethics, like what you believe is right. And this is very individual, and that's why I had self-reported morals, and they had to write those down, and self-reported self-respect and self-esteem on like a scale of how much they believed they had before the study started. But the cool thing about this that I really wanted to point out and why I put this study down is really just this simple fact that it didn't matter about competence and social approval, meaning it didn't matter if they got a great result, if they accomplished the task perfectly, if they checked all the boxes, if they got the outcome, if they were successful. What mattered most in order to increase their self-respect was acting in alignment with their moral values. So they had moral integrity, which integrity means aligned with. You follow through with what you said you would do. You are acting in accordance with your values. And so these individuals had more self-respect if they acted in alignment with their moral values than if they actually accomplished a goal or got social approval. So this is where, like, I think in today's world, everybody gets so offended and triggered. And at some point you have to just stop worrying about what everybody else thinks. And those who agree with you, those who don't get triggered easily, which if you get triggered easily, I think it's an insecurity issue. I think it's a problem because you're not happy and fulfilled and confident enough in your own self, morals, values, beliefs, actions, what you can do, all that you get really offended by other things. Like most people, if you're really confident, happy, and fulfilled in your life, you should be able to just sit back and be like, okay, everybody has their own opinion and move on, right? Well, this is a perfect example because it shows that what matters more than other people agreeing with you, other people liking you, other people approving of you, what matters more than even getting the exact result that you were after is that you're acting in alignment with your moral code. You know, I think shockingly enough, not enough people actually set moral codes. They don't sit down and go, what are the values I want to live by and act with in accordance with every single day? Not enough people do that. Not enough people actually write, like, ask yourself, do you have a set of core values that you can list off? Like most people don't, and it's kind of sad. I have my own core values. I have core values with my staff for my team and my companies, and I have core values with my family at home. They're all very similar. There's a few that are on all of them, but they also differ a little bit because it's different environments. But point being is you should be setting those for yourself. Study number 2. It's called Self-Respect Reduces Depression Across Cultures. Really cool. The goal was to investigate how seeing oneself as equal to others, self-respect, affects depression and assertiveness. Across 7 countries, I believe it was, they looked at 2,408 people. Self-respect, assertiveness, depression, and suicidal thoughts were measured. So 2,400 plus people across 7 countries to really get a wide variety of different cultures. And then they assessed self-respect, assertiveness, depression, and suicidal thoughts. Findings were that higher self-respect related to greater assertiveness, which is inserting yourself and sticking up for yourself and giving your honest opinion and being, you got to think about it. In order to assert yourself into a discussion or a situation, in order to be assertive and be firm with your decisions and be forward thinking and forward coming with your thoughts and your opinions and, you know, what you believe matters, you got to be pretty confident. You have to have a lot of confidence in that. So it's a good thing they measured assertiveness, but higher self-respect related to greater assertiveness and significantly lower depressive symptoms and suicidal ideation worldwide. So across all those countries. And the conclusion from them was that self-respect plays a profound role in mental health, offering emotional stability and resilience in diverse cultures. So it doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter who you are. self-respect is going to play a vital role in your ability to be not just assertive, giving your thoughts and opinions and standing up for yourself and acting in alignment with your own value. If you're assertive, you have a high sense of self-worth and value because you believe that your opinion matters, which is really, really good. And you don't feel that you're lesser than other people, which you shouldn't. But it also significantly lowers your depression, depressive symptoms, and suicidal thoughts, which is unbelievable. Like it's so powerful. So self-respect reduces depression across cultures. Now, if you have a high level of self-respect, you've done the work in the other areas. I want to point that out. So it's not just like, hey, just start saying you have self-respect and this is going to happen. Self-respect is earned. It's not given. It's very hard to placebo your way into having a higher level of self-respect. So if you want to have these results that self-respect gives you in a life that is filled with self-respect and honor, then you have to do the work on the front end. You have to do the things that require taking actions that require self-control. You have to develop self-discipline. You have to create self-belief through discipline and taking control and having self-control in building results, because results are proof. Proof creates confidence. Confidence is self-belief. And then eventually you can really start to create this level of self-respect. But really, really huge. And then the last study I pulled for this one, it's called Self-Respect Underlies Psychological Well-Being. And the goal was to define self-respect as dignity, autonomy, and integrity, and assess its contribution to growth and well-being. Experts tied, and this is how they did it, the experts tied philosophical and psychological research into self-respect's impact on autonomy, boundaries, and life purpose. This isn't as much like, let's take some groups. This is I believe it would be called a theory-based study, similar to some meta-analysis or this way, but essentially they're taking a lot of information that is in science, in literature, stuff like that, and they're creating a theory. Okay, so this isn't like we have two groups, we're going to put them through a test, but it's a really good one, and there's a reason why I brought it into this. And the insights they took away from this were that self-respect is linked to healthy boundaries, reduced external comparison, and stronger self-care. And so their recommendation from what they researched and put together in this theory was that building self-respect involves aligning actions with personal values consistently. And so once again, and this is why I took that one, is because I wanted to pull studies that just showed how important values are. If you don't have personal values, you don't have your core being and character of what you represent. You know, there's different ways to identify yourself, and your personal identity comes down to both what you are, what you do, and what you stand for, right? So what I am is a father, a Christian, a business. Like I am those things. What I do is I coach, I empower, I inspire, I develop people. Like that is the action I do. And what I stand for is, number one, everything I'm talking about here, hard work. I stand for hard work. I stand for being a servant liver. I live a servant life, essentially. Like I represent somebody who, and I identify with somebody who spends their time and their life committed to helping others. Even my free time. Like that's what I do. That's what I want to do with my time. That's what I believe life is about. But that's what I identify as. These are my personal identities, right? There's numerous. But you have to understand, you know, what you are, what you do, and what you stand for. That gives you a sense of personal identity. And with that personal identity, you can create core values that determine that, right? I know my personal core values. One is going to be influence. And specifically influence is, for me and how I've defined it in my core values, is when I'm in a room, am I influencing people for the better or worse? My goal is to have a positive influence on a daily basis. I want to influence the people I'm around, the people I come in contact with, and make sure that their life is better because they ran into me or talked to me than when I got there. It should never get worse. If it's going to get worse if I'm there, I'm not going to involve myself, because my core value is to only make people's lives better. Right? Being a go-giver, that's one of my core values. Serving others every day. How am I giving to somebody? How am I serving somebody? I have to live in alignment with that. Work ethic, hard work, like that is a core value of mine. Did I put in a full effort in what I am doing? That is a core value. It's a value that means a lot to me, right? So I have multiple, but you have to have those, because when you understand that, you're going to have a life that is so much more impactful inward and outwardly. Internally and externally, inward, outward. You're going to be able to impact people better. You're going to impact yourself better. You're going to have better mental health. You're going to have clarity on your vision of life and what you want. You're going to know how to act. It acts like a lens. You have a lens in front of you that literally shows you how to show up and handle each situation, because you can say, I don't know if I'm going to accomplish the result that we need to get, but I know how I need to do this, because as long as I act in alignment with what I know is right. If I'm going into this situation, am I giving my all? Am I, being positive and optimistic and influencing those around me to do the same? Am I using this to serve others and help people? Like, if I'm doing those things, no matter what, the outcome's going to be good, because I'm going to be aligned with my core values. And this is earned. So, like, again, those are the studies, but this is why it's so important for us to understand this stuff. And the studies are there to paint the picture of facts so that we can move away from our feelings, because our feelings are what will prevent us from acting in alignment with our core values oftentimes, right? So it's really, really important. Now, the last part of this is practical steps. So what can we do? What are some strategies you can use in order to start working towards building self-respect? Number one is to go through the process. Again, I usually don't do this often in a podcast, so I apologize, but go listen to the other episodes if you haven't already, right? Like, reach out to us, click the links in the description. We have coaching that does this. We don't just do nutrition and fitness coaching. If you struggle with this is what we do. This is what the Tailored Coaching community is all about. We help people transform their body and their mind, because we know that's what's important. AI can do a whole bunch of stuff for you. It can write you a meal plan, your macros, probably go grocery shopping for you, but it can't help you shift your mindset. It can't help you develop this level of self-respect and create a new standard for your personal identity and develop core values. It can't do that. We can help you do that, humans. But step one, go listen to those other parts, because they're really, really important. And if you struggle with it, even after doing so, which I'll be honest, most of us do. We all have coaches. I have a coach. Reach out. First strategy to think about, clarify your values. If you don't have 3 to 5 core values set in stone for you personally, do that first and foremost. The first action step to do when working towards gaining a higher level of self-respect and self-worth is going to be to write 3 to 5 core values down. This should be for you personally. Before you go and create some for your family, some for your business, if you're a business owner or anything else, create personal core values, no less than 3, no more than 5, and try to act in alignment with those every day. And at the end of each day, or first thing in the morning, write about the day before, or at the end of the day, write about the day of, and journal. Did you act in alignment with these goals or with these values? And if you did, how? Create 3 to 5 core values, no less than 3, no more than 5, and journal every day whether or not you acted in alignment. If you did, when did you act in alignment? How did you do so? Give an example. If you didn't act in alignment, when did you not, and how didn't you? Because you need to understand what kind of actions and what kind of way to respond and show up to situations in life are in alignment and have integrity with your core values. Strategy number 2, act consistently even when in private. Commit to one personal standard, like handling conflict with honesty or with poise or equanimity and staying calm or something like that, and check in on it daily in your journal or with a coach. All these can be done with a coach. They can be with a journal if you don't have a coach. But the point is commit to one personal standard. So based on your values, commit to a standard each day, right? Or it can be once a week. So this week, I am going to be more organized and planned. Okay, journal and check in on this every single day. Did you do it? This week, I'm not going to respond abruptly. I'm not going to react to anything. I'm going to respond calmly and collectively to every situation, be that in work or at home, whatever it may be. Okay, if that's your goal and your personal standard you're creating right there is responding in a certain way and conducting yourself with equanimity, if that's aligned with your values, perfect. Journal about it each day. Check in. Did you do it? Strategy number 3, say no strategically. This one is probably going to be the most difficult for most people. Most of us are people pleasers. We want to live in the gray. This is one of the biggest issues I've had in my life, is just living in the gray and not wanting to tell people no and just be like, yeah, soon. And it just causes more problems. And people don't respect people who live in the gray, and you don't respect yourself when you do it either. And I can say firsthand, I've done that too many times. And that was a big shift for me this year that really helped, to be honest with you, because I hate telling people no. I hate giving a definitive no answer. I want to tell everybody yes. But here's what you're going to do is identify at least one boundary and reinforce it clearly. Holding your boundaries is a great way to build self-respect. Now, you can do this by setting a boundary with others. So maybe there's a relationship boundary or a work professional to personal relationship boundary you need to set, or whatever it may be. Or it can be a boundary like you're not going to create shortcuts in the gym. My boundary is like when I go to the gym, I'm going to finish the whole workout, right? Or I spend too much time at the gym. So if I don't finish my workout within this time frame, I'm going to go home because I'm setting a boundary between the gym and my personal life. And I'm going to choose my personal life first. I'm going to choose my family first, okay? So set boundaries in your life and then stick to them. And again, check in with it in a journal or with a coach. Honor moral actions. This is number 4. Celebrate ethical behavior that you have and show up and express, whether it's speaking up or helping others with yourself or in an accountability relationship of some kind. You are going to celebrate this. Celebrating wins, celebrating victories, celebrating correct actions, moral behaviors. This is a good way to develop self-belief and self-respect. So when you have a situation and you act very ethically and aligned with your values, you need to celebrate it, acknowledge it. This goes back to number 1 and 2. Clarify your values and then act in alignment with them and actually journal about it. And if you do this, let's say that you set boundaries, you have your values, and you're journaling about acting in it, and you do that every day of the month. You do it 30 days in a row, you act in alignment with it, and you have journals of every day of when these situations were. Celebrate it. You need to celebrate this ethical behavior because praised habits, praised actions get repeated, okay? Number 5, then we got one more after this. Number 5 is cultivate assertiveness. Practice politely advocating for yourself, whether in requests or rejecting what violates your core values. So making sure you're basically rooting for yourself. You're sticking up for yourself. You're having a difficult conversation. You're putting the note down. You're putting your hand in. You're saying like, hey, I don't think this is fair. Hey, I don't think that's how it should go. Hey, I deserve better than that. Hey, this bugs me and I want to have a conversation about it. Whatever it may be, just stick up for yourself. It is literally just sticking up for yourself. Cultivate assertiveness by sticking up for yourself and really just advocating for yourself. And do it. If you do it with alignment to your core values, it's going to be done in the right way. It's probably going to be done respectfully and politely. And then the last one is going to be reflect on integrity. Journal instances where you acted true to your values, you were in alignment with your moral behaviors and what you see and deem as proper or good, and acknowledge how it makes you feel. So it's just a further elaboration in the journaling process. And as you can see, there's a lot of that because I think the reflection piece of this is so important. But acknowledging your actions and how they align, not just the action itself. And this goes back to self-belief. If you want to translate confidence and self-belief from I'm a mother of 4 and I'm confident in that, but I'm not confident in fat loss. Okay. The only way to make sure that you can translate this level of confidence from motherhood to fat loss, and this is based on research I went over in the self-belief study, is to reflect on the insights, the lessons, the traits, the behaviors, the morals, the values, the characteristics, the skills that being a mother skillfully in mastering that has developed in you. So if that has mastered patience, it has helped you master consistency, it has helped you master organization. Those are traits and skills that can be applied to fat loss and make you extremely successful. But you have to first see that that's a transferable trait or skill to make it really matter. So this right here, when I'm saying reflect on integrity, don't just reflect on the situation of I did this, and that was showing a lot of positive influence. Okay, but what about it? Connect it to the positive influence and why it's influencing them positively. And what might that lead to? What could that do for them after they leave that situation? Why did that matter so much? And when you attach yourself and anchor yourself to that level of meaning to the situation, that's when you win. Okay, so this concludes the Self-Formation 4-part series. I'm very happy with how this turned out. I hope you are too. Please, please, please share this with a friend. This is really important that people understand. I truly believe that this is the kind of stuff that can change our world and change our lives and change the people around us for the better. And we can all live better, lives as better human beings, as the best version of ourselves, and reach our potential if we just understand this process. Everybody benefits from having more self-control, self-discipline, self-belief, and self-respect. I appreciate you so much for listening. Leave a 5-star rating and review if this helped you in any way, shape, or form. Share this with a friend, and I will catch you next time.